Devy Degens, welcome back to another episode of Devy Degens. I am S.U. Romero with my co-host Tom Harvey, and today we are diving into the Devy quarterbacks, ones that we have ranked, ones that people are sleeping on, and ones that you should cash out on right now. All on the Devy Degens episode today.
Breaking down the hate, man, we call it like we see it. Finding all the gems while the rest just sleeping. Freshmen to the league, we ahead of the curve. Picking out the next star, put them on the reserve. From the big time schools to the deep cut finds. Gotta know who's next when it's draft day time. Stock rising, playmaking, watch them ball out. Devy Degens, yeah, no doubt. Yo, it's time to talk the future Devy style. Prospects rising, diamonds shining. Only the real ones grinding. Welcome to the Devy Degens, let's go. Let's go!
Devy Degens, I am S.U. Romero with my co-host here, Tom Harvey. Tom, how are you doing today?
Oh man, I'm tired. had a tough week last week, and it just continues on today.
Hey, luckily we have a 4-day week, so it's a prayer for you. Hope you get through it, and get to the fourth and enjoy a nice little 3-day weekend. Today we're talking about Devy quarterbacks, and in the song, our intro song, it says picking out the next stars and putting them on the reserve. That's really what Devy's all about, right? We're trying to pick out the next stars, and we put them on our reserve bench. That they're not acquiring points or anything. We're just getting them to say, hey, when they go into the NFL, we already had them on our team, and we're ready to shoot for that. And that's what we're going to be talking about today with our quarterback ranks. As I mentioned, we're going to go over some sleepers and some guys that we both believe that y'all should cash out on right now while their value is still high. So let's start off with our ranks here, though. Tommy, tell the people who our number one quarterback is, because this is one that we both agree on. Who's our 101 in the quarterback room?
Yeah, we both agree on this. It's DJ Lagway out of Florida.
Yes, sir.
I'm slightly concerned about his shoulder surgery. Coming back from that,
Right.
But he's still 2 years away from entering the draft, anyway. So, I really don't care what he looks like this year. I just want that shoulder to get healthy.
Right. No, 100%. Shout out our guy at Degens dropping in, saying, let's go, man. Thank you for joining in. No, I agree. That's something that we're going to see. I feel we'll find out pretty early on. We agree with this as well. Lagway is locked in. We'll find it pretty early on, though, that what DJ Lagway is about if the shoulder injury really hurts, and I say that not only in his throwing mechanics when he's back on the field, but also when he gets hit. He's gonna get hit. It's not gonna be avoidable. He's in the SEC. They play fast. They play big. You know what's gonna happen. Mad Dog, thanks for joining in, man. Welcome in.
But he's also Lagway's also a very physical quarterback. He'll
Right.
lower the shoulder and try to go and hit somebody.
Oh yeah.
So he kind of needs to take it easy on that with that repaired shoulder he's got.
For sure. It was similar to when Jaden Daniels was coming out. We were talking about that he was taking hits that he should have been taking.
He was also really tiny.
Right, compared to Lagway. And that's going to be a difference maker here is, though, if that shoulder injury isn't fully healed or anything like that, and he takes those hits, does it affect his throwing again? So, again, not only seeing him gain hit, how he gets back up, but how does it affect his throwing after that hit if there is a big hit on him as well? So I think that's very big. We're obviously high on him because he has a dual threat capability on what he can do. He's at Florida, and really we know they have Jaden Ball. We know they have some solid receivers, but it's really going to be about, can he make these receivers something more? That's why I look for in type of quarterbacks like him that don't have the necessary wide receiver room that they need. Can he elevate his wide receivers to make them an upper echelon type of wide receiver? Or is it going to be he has to wait on getting this prime wide receiver, maybe it's Dallas Wilson, to come in and say, hey, because I'm here now, you are now better than great at that point as well. I think Lagway can elevate his receivers. He has the ability to extend the play, and he's going to be something I'm watching for, especially in the SEC. I'm excited to see what he can do and lock him in, for sure. Now, number two, I said number one, we both agree on. Number two, we start conflicting here, but I think both our guys are really good. I go with Garrett Nussmeier, and you go with Kate Klubnik. To me, Nussmeier has one of the best throws in the college football right now, just as far as clarity. I really feel he has that touch on his deep throws. And I really think with this year, with this wide receiver room, I've said it before. Sometimes those quarterbacks, or even any player in general, needs that one solid year to really boost their draft stock up to being maybe a day 3, and all of a sudden they're talked about a first round possibility. I think Nussmeier can have that type of year this year based on the wide receivers they acquired around him and what he could do. But you have Kate Klubnik. Why you have Klubnik at 2?
Yeah, Klubnik kind of showed last year that he has what it takes to be a QB1 in his draft class.
Right.
You know, he had kind of a struggle year his sophomore season.
Right.
You know, he was thrown in there quite a bit. His freshman year behind DJ Uiagalelei, and he looked a lot better than what DJU did. To the point where he ended up taking that job. And then his sophomore year kind of fell off a little bit. I think a lot of that was just kind of talent around him wasn't as good as what it probably should have been. Yeah, he was throwing to Bo Collins and Adam Randall and guys like that.
I think Bo Collins, I think he got drafted. I don't know. I know he was at what? Was he at Notre Dame's?
Yeah, he went to Notre Dame after he left Clemson, and now Adam Randall might be their running back. So, but last year being able to throw to real legitimate talent like Bryant Wesco and TJ Moore and Antonio Williams, he has he showed that he has what it takes to be a big time quarterback. I have him as QB1 in this draft class.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I've said it before too. What I love about Klubnik is it seems like he's battled that adversity in college as well. Spencer Rattler and him were, to me, at a time on a similar trajectory where they were both considered 5-star, top of the class quarterbacks. We didn't see it year 1, and we kind of saw it play out. It's like, okay, maybe they're not. Rattler went down the hole, and you really didn't showcase being that top tier type of quarterback, where I feel Klubnik has turned that switch on to say, hey, I am a legitimate starting quarterback, and I can be a franchise quarterback at that point based on what he's done. And honestly, though, the team has really been built around him and saying, hey, we want you to succeed as well. So I can agree with that. I think both Klubnik and Nuss are in for big years this year. I mean, I said in our very first episode, I think, Klubnik could throw for 50 touchdowns and be a Heisman candidate when it comes down to it. So,
yeah, I think Klubnik is probably the favorite to win the Heisman this year.
Should be.
And he's my favorite to win the Heisman. And Clemson is a very popular pick to win the national title. So, you're looking at that type of season from Klubnik with all the physical skills he's got. He may be the first overall draft pick.
Right. But, going back to what I said about Lagway, is Klubnik great because they have a good receiving core? Because arguably, I would say if you talk about the wide receiver 1, 2 in your slot, they have the best wide receiver core in the nation. So is he great because of that, or is he actually great? Like, is he making them better? I think that's, for me, that's going to be what I'm watching a lot this season is, are these throws that Klubnik is making happening, or are the wide receivers going out there and get it as well? Because it can go either way. It's going to be which one kind of leans heavier when it's all said and done as well.
Right. Let's kind of look at like a Kate Klubnik versus Drew Allar. Does Allar really make anybody any better?
Nah, I don't. Yeah. I mean, I'm lower on Allar too. So
to me, Allar just lacks consistency, whereas Klubnik is kind of proven he's consistent.
Yeah, true that. And we're going to be talking about Allar a little later as well. But no, I agree. And a lot could be Penn State, in the Big Ten versus the ACC. But Allar, it's hard for me to really gauge on him just because they have a solid running game. So they win a lot of games because they have a great running game and great defense. Where it's like, Allar, are you really called upon to do much? But in the end, that's going to hurt him in the NFL because he's not called upon as much as these other quarterbacks are also. But moving on to number 3, this is actually a quarterback we both agree on for QB3 as well. Go ahead and tell the people who we have at QB3.
Yeah, we got Arch Manning at QB3. I really want to see what he does against good competition.
Yeah.
He came in a little bit last season whenever Quinn Ewers was hurt, but he didn't really play against anybody.
In the game he played, they didn't look great either. The game against Georgia.
But he has the physical tools. and he seems to want to be great.
Yeah,
And that's really the main thing is, do you want to be great? And
for sure.
Arch kind of has that to him.
For sure. Shout out our guys at CFB Nation. They call it the Manning Media Cartel. It really comes down to, I think our guy Mike, the Dynasty DJ himself, pull out the question, DJ Lagway or Arch. We both said DJ, but it really comes down to if Arch's last name was Smith, if there was Romero, if there was Harvey, are we talking about him as much as we are now because his last name is Manning? Because not only is his grandpa an Arch, Archie, Peyton, his uncle Eli, Super Bowl winners, all quarterbacks. Is that really something that we're taking? Like, is he already on the high pedestal? And to me, he really is. And it really has to come down to where I think if it doesn't showcase this season, he has the biggest drop off for me because of it's all like, okay, maybe it was all hype, right? So
yeah, he's the one guy that hasn't had to prove anything yet.
Yeah.
Whereas kind of most everybody else has, right?
Right.
Most everybody else has extensive playing time, and I mean, I know we're going to have a couple freshmen on this list, but but Arch does not have the extensive play time. I mean, he is a product of his name,
Right.
Like you said, if his last name was Raiola,
right,
would he be the big time
Top 10.
5-star? Yeah, would he be the big time 5-star quarterback coming in?
Right.
I think he has the skills and the talent. I mean, I think he has a better arm than Peyton. Peyton never had a great arm.
Yeah, Peyton had Marvin Harrison, so
yeah. But Peyton was smart. He knew where the ball needed to go every time.
Arguably one of the smartest QBs to ever play.
Right,
sure.
probably the smartest quarterback to ever play.
Right.
And then he has a better arm, and he's much more athletic than either one of his uncles.
Right.
So he plays a little bit differently.
Dynasty DJs. If he looked exactly like Mahomes,
right.
he might.
Yeah,
speaking
right.
of Raiola.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. No, I agree though with that too. As far as athleticism, definitely very much is athletic. But I mean, the same thing when we talk about Klubnik, I think the team in Texas is really built around him. Where if he has any kind of struggles, it's like, bro, what are you doing? Like this is a solid team, arguably one of the best on paper teams Texas has had in the past couple of years. Considering even last year they were a playoff team, right? So I think it's really good what they have, and it's going to be hard to really mess it up, in my opinion.
Yeah, and they completely turned the keys over to him. I mean, they handed the keys over to Arch to the point where Quinn Ewers basically wasn't even welcome back.
Yeah, for sure.
I know that there was a big, kind of rumor that people were that there were schools floating millions of dollars at Quinn Ewers to transfer, and he ended up hitting the draft anyways. But but they basically turned the keys over to Arch, and it's 100% his team.
Hey, shout out Quinn Ewers, man. I was the one that also said he should stay for another year. But hey, he's completing his dream of playing in the NFL, right? And honestly, with the way that Tua plays or gets hurt, he may see the field sooner than we actually think. So very possible. But shout out him achieving his dreams there. Let's move on to our QB4. We actually differ here. Kind of. I mean, you had Klubnik at number 2. I have Klubnik at number 4. You have someone else at number 4, though. Who do you have at number 4?
Yeah, my first freshman on the list, Bryce Underwood. I've said it before. I see Vince Young whenever I watch his film. He's very fluid, good runner, powerful, great arm. So he's extremely talented. It wouldn't surprise me to see him kind of climb even above Arch after this year if he were to have that type of season. I mean, obviously you want to see it,
Sure.
and he's got to get on the field first. But just watching his film, he just looks like Vince Young to me.
Now, when it comes to Vince Young, man, we talked about this before. Like what got me into college football was watching the 05 Texas Longhorns dominate all season and going into Pasadena and just beating USC in what I believe is the greatest college game ever to be played, that Rose Bowl. Now, Vince Young, wasn't very successful in the NFL though. So I mean, does that scare you in
Well,
the fact of
Vince Young he had a solid first few seasons, and then then he kind of had some
off the field issues.
Yeah, some off the field issues, some mental health, things going on.
Right.
That really affected him.
Right.
But he was really good his first few seasons.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. And that's something where I absolutely love it. I mean, if he's there, I mean, granted, I absolutely love what he can do. And I think he could be great at that next level. Or I thought he could, and in honesty, if they would have started him earlier, Tennessee, when they drafted him, they would have went to the playoffs, but they started him a little bit too late and they lost out of the playoffs. But he took the team to like a 9-7. With it was they were there like 0-3 before he got on the field or something like that. But if there is Vince Young capability, I mean, again, that's someone that won a Rose Bowl at the time. That was the national championship. That was the big one that year. They kind of rotated. That was the big one. So if Bryce Underwood is anywhere near that, then Michigan has something really good these next few years. And I mean, he's locked in. They paid him a hefty amount. He's locked in for it. So now it'll be interesting to see how they build moving forward about it as well. Now QB5 here, we both differ as well. You have Garrett Nussmeier here. I actually have Dante Moore though, and the reason why I have Dante Moore here is simply because we've seen it. Sorry, I'm trying to write this timestamp. We see it time and time again, or at least the past 2 years. The Oregon system, what Will Stein is doing at Oregon, has really elevated the quarterback plays. Before Bo Nix went to Oregon, he was looked at as afterthought at Auburn. He went to Oregon, he became a first-round pick. Before Dylan Gabriel went to Oregon, he was looked at as like a journeyman, someone that really couldn't complete. And granted, they lost in the playoffs, I get that. But still, he became a day 2 pick over some quarterbacks that we thought would be a day 2 pick, and he went in the 3rd round. Dante Moore, to me, is a more athletic quarterback than both of them. He is a more fine-tuned in his throws. I think Nix may have a better deep ball, or even, Dylan Gabriel may have a better deep ball. But Dante Moore, I feel, with him being in the system last year, sitting behind Gabriel, who's a smart quarterback, he was just a little smaller, and a better system around him is going to be great. Granted, losing Evan Stewart hurts, but I think Dante Moore in this system is going to be phenomenal. And this is going to be a quarterback that we want to talk about next year as a potentially a top first-round pick as well, if all goes in the same route or trajectory that it went for Nix and Gabriel. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, Dante Moore. I mean, you have him at number 5. I've got him at number 6, so we're not too far off there.
Right.
He was a 5-star quarterback coming out of high school. Went to UCLA. He was committed to Oregon, then left and went to UCLA, and then after a year at UCLA, decided to come back to Oregon and be Dylan Gabriel's backup. And I still think even without Evan Stewart, he's got plenty around him.
100%.
He's got Kyler Casper, and he's got Gary Bryant Jr. and
Justice Lowe.
And then he's also got the who was the Malik Benson. He's got plenty of talent. Obviously, Decore and more.
Right.
So there's still plenty to work with there. And in that system pumps out quarterbacks. So I mean,
100%.
Plus he's more of that kind of prototypical type of dude anyway. So wouldn't surprise me if he has a big year and declares and comes out and is, a first-round draft pick.
100%. The system at Oregon runs people to play smart, I guess. So he's really going to build up his IQ and everything. And I will say, if Bo Nix didn't return, because he could have went out that year that Dante Moore the first committed, he returned, though. I think that's the big reason. But after coming back, he said, look, I understand I need to wait for my turn. I'm not I can't have I feel he had a bigger head as a freshman, like I'm a top quarterback, all this stuff. And then he was kind of brought down to earth. And when he went back to Dan Lanning, he was like, look, I understand what has to be done. And now he sat behind Gabriel there as well. But I do believe, this is just my own personal belief. I didn't read any of this. This is my belief.
I'm sure Phil Knight gave him that money too.
Yeah, probably. I mean, did they give him money or they just give him a bunch of Nike kicks? I mean, because you can get either or, and you can sell those Nike kicks for some good money too. So I'd be happy with that. But moving forward with our QB6, now this is, you said you had Dante Moore. I actually have LaNorris Sellers at QB6. Now, I know you have him a little bit lower Why are you not in LaNorris Sellers as a top 7 here?
I don't see the special ability to throw the ball.
Okay.
To me, he is a kind of a better. Now I'm blanking on his name. Who was the quarterback at Alabama last year? Milroe. Jalen Milroe. To me, he's kind of just a better version of Jalen Milroe.
Who went day 2?
He went day 2, sure, but he I don't think he's ever going to be anything in the NFL. You know, kind of a journeyman backup probably.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, he's nothing special throwing the ball,
right?
And that's going to hurt him moving into the NFL.
It's interesting you say he's a better Jalen Milroe, because if you had them side by side, I would give LaNorris Sellers the better short and intermediate throws.
Mm-hmm.
I give Milroe the better deep ball.
Right.
But when it comes to athleticism,
that was all Milroe had. That was all Milroe had was the deep ball.
But then when it comes to their dual threat capabilities of extending the plays and escaping the pocket, I think I might get a slight edge to Milroe as well. Because when I watch Sellers, I really love his what he can do. I think he's someone that needs to kind of slow the game down and really process it a lot more and really understand what he needs to do, because he throws it. I've said this before too. Sometimes he throws it when he doesn't need to, and sometimes he runs when he doesn't need to. Milroe kind of got that down a little bit towards the end and said, hey, I understand now. I don't need to do these jackpot type of throws. Where LaNorris Sellers, I feel he still does that, and he tries to play that hero ball when he doesn't need to. So I have him higher than you. I do expect a big leap from him, but this is also someone where I had Arch, where he can make a major drop. Like if he doesn't come out and show me in the first couple games or his first big game, because I know you have a couple like not scrimmages, but you know what I mean, not bigger games. This first few 5-6 weeks, if he's not showing it, he can easily drop out of that top 10 for me, because it's like, bro, I just don't see it here for you as well. But there is upside in there if he gets it all together, because of his ability to run out of the pocket and to make some big plays with his legs. I really do see potential for him to be at day 2 like Milroe was as well. But there's a lot of things that have to work in his favor. One of that being his wide receivers. He really doesn't have that type of help at wide receiver either.
Well, and a lot of the problem I'm having with the Sellers hype is that people have him projected as like a top 10 pick. It's like,
right.
I just don't see it, man.
Yeah, I think when it comes to fantasy, especially, we get in love with those dual threat type of quarterbacks. I think that's why they can't elevate. But I mean, top 10, I get people enjoy the quarterbacks, but they have a nice defensive class coming out next year too. So I don't necessarily see that as a top 10. First round, again, he would need a big year. I could see day 2, but right now, first round, he would need a huge year for him there. Now, our number 7 here, this is interesting because not technically, but ideally, we have 2 freshman quarterbacks here as our number 7, because you have Keelan Russell, I have Julian Sayin. Tell us a little bit about Keelan Russell, though.
Yeah, I mean, we just got to talk about LaNorris Sellers. I think Keelan Russell is that type of dude, but a much better passer. He's a really good runner, but that's not what his game relies on. He's a passing quarterback that can run.
Sure.
He's not just an athletic guy back there that runs around with the ball.
Yeah. No, it's funny. I have Keelan Russell at 8 and then Bryce Underwood at 9 here, Sayin above them both. Julian Sayin, we need to see it, right? And he's one of the scary ones because he has Tavian St. Clair behind him. So there is opportunity for Sayin not even to be the starting guy, but being out of Ohio State, the weapons are all around him for succeed. He succeeded in high school, was a great quarterback, moved with elegance in the pocket, made throws on the run, made throws with confidence when the pressure was going out at him. Everything's lined up for him to just be one of the top quarterbacks that we're talking about. And honestly, when it's all said and done, I may put him at QB1 over Lagway if it comes out to just working in his favor. But there's a lot of things working for Sayin. Keelan Russell, I've said it, I think he looks a lot like Lamar Jackson as far as his throwing mechanics and his ability to just his athleticism, I guess you can say. So I think there's some great things to happen there as well. There's a lot of momentum, going in with Keelan Russell, Bryce Underwood, and Sayin. And I said ideally, because Sayin didn't play last year, it was all Will Howard. So this is technically his freshman season. So he maybe wants to even declare in that 2028 class, not the 2027, where Lagway and like Rayola may as well, or even Arch. So there's a lot of eyes on him to see what Julian Sayin can do. I'm not mad at Russell, Ivan right there, and then I have Underwood next. Those three guys are really neck and neck, and I feel they could easily jump ahead too because we haven't seen it yet. So it's like I just had that high school tape on them. Now it's like, okay, I believe in y'all now. Y'all did it at that next level as well. So that's why I have there. Now, number 8, like I said, I have Keelan Russell. You have Dylan Raiola. Tell us about Mahomes Jr. here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just look at the guy. He not only looks like Pat Mahomes, like Patrick Mahomes, but he also plays a lot like him.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying he is Patrick Mahomes, obviously, but that's still yet to be seen. But I thought he played pretty well as a true freshman. I know he took a little bit of criticism, but I thought he played pretty well being a true freshman playing in the Big Ten on a pretty mediocre team.
Yeah.
I thought he elevated that team better than what they were.
100%.
And then now this year he's going to be thrown to Dane Key.
Mm-hmm.
So he has that big time receiving threat. I'm really excited to see what he does this year.
Yeah, 100%. Dane Key got to step in for Jamal Banks, who they had last year, just be that stretch wide receiver, a little bit more athletic there as well. Dante Dowell didn't do a lot as the running game, so Raiola, I think, is going to have to step up. I think last year was his freshman flaws. We saw a lot of mistakes happen again, but he saw this could be like, okay, did you learn from that in year 2 now? This is we can't have the sophomore slump now because you had the freshman woes there. So now it's like, okay, you can go out there and do better. I don't know if I have them. They're not in contention to win the Big Ten. A lot of things that's happened, right? But they could definitely be a top 25 team, or I guess top 30 or top 25, right? They're not getting the top 12, but they'll be within that top 25 just because of Raiola. And that's really going to be a lot on what he can do, his ability to just be a smart player. He's not really a rusher. He can, but he's more about just getting the ball out on time. He's very quick with his throws. Again, really precise with his throws too. Has good layering.
And he's a good scrambler. I mean, I don't think he's, he's definitely not. He's not LaNorris Sellers or even Cade Klubnik or Arch Manning out there running the ball. But I mean, I said he plays a lot like Patrick Mahomes, and that's kind of what Mahomes' deal is too. He's a really good scrambler, and can make plays on it with his feet.
Right.
So
for sure. No, I 100% agree. And sometimes that's what you need. You don't need to be a dual threat. You just need to have the ability to say, hey, the pressure's coming in. I need to get out the pocket here. Mm-hmm. Now, number 9, like I said, I have Bryce Underwood. I do like Underwood. I think the mechanics are there for him to be a top quarterback. I just slightly like Russell a little bit more. I think Russell's just a little bit more crisp in his throws, a little bit more ideal in his escaping the pocket and making them. Underwood, though, could easily overtake that as well. So, again, I have them within that same tier there. Now, who's your –
And with, kind of the argument in between Russell and Underwood is, Russell has Kalen DeBoer also.
Yeah.
Whereas Underwood really doesn't have that dude, have that kind of quarterback whisperer there with him.
But Underwood also maybe getting playing time immediately where Keelan Russell may have to wait.
Russell could too. At some point this year. I mean, he doesn't have a whole lot in front of him. I don't think Ty Simpson's very good, and we haven't really seen what Austin Mack is.
Right, 100%. Austin Mack's something special too, though. He can be. But number 9, like I said, Underwood. Who do you have at number 9?
I've got Sam Leavitt. He's getting a lot of first round hype for this upcoming draft class. Also, got a really good arm. Good runner. He's a good running quarterback also, and took a team last year that was projected that was picked like preseason number 15 in their conference, and took him to the playoff. So and was really close to beating Texas.
Yeah, was that Scadaboo? I mean, Scadaboo was a big part, right? So I have Leavitt a little lower. I think he's a great quarterback and everything. My question is, as I said with earlier quarterbacks, if Jordan Tyson's not there, is Leavitt still great? I think Jordan Tyson's a big reason why he has fight success. I think, Cam Scadaboo is a big reason why they had that success. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does this year. Jordan Tyson's still there, but Scadaboo was a big part of that offense. Who's really going to replace him, or are they going to be able to replace him with the eligibility as well there?
I mean, you can kind of also say the same thing about other guys. Like we talked about Cade Klubnik earlier when he was, when he didn't have the guys, he wasn't very good either. So I mean, you take away big time weapons, and no quarterback is as good as what they can be. Not only that, but last season was Leavitt's first was his first season starting. So I mean, I thought he did a great job.
Yeah, I mean, you took the team to the playoffs. I mean, you won the Big 12, right? So definitely some big moves coming in there for him. Now, number 10 here, this is where it gets interesting for me, at least, because I have someone that I don't think anyone has in their top 10. You do have Julian Sayin, which I talked about that. Anything you want to add on Julian Sayin?
I have him a little bit lower than what you do, just because of his size. He's not the biggest dude. So was he about 6'1", 200, something like that?
Yeah.
So he's not, he doesn't have that kind of prototypical size that what the other guys do that we were talking about. So I kind of have him a little bit lower because of that.
Speaking of prototypical size, big reason why I have this guy here, Eli Holstein out of Pittsburgh. He's 6'3", 6'4", I think, about 220, 230, something like that. I said this. He reminds me of Ben Roethlisberger, and I actually have Dylan Raiola, who you have higher at 8, at 11, right behind him. Eli Holstein to me is one of the guys that you need to be watching out for. We saw what Kenny Pickett did in one play that elevated him to a top 20 draft pick. I think he was picked 19 for Kenny Pickett. Eli Holstein's a better quarterback than Kenny Pickett. I think Eli Holstein's going to take this team to the next level. Last year, I think he had just over 2,200 yards, something like that. Nothing crazy. I think this year, exactly. And this year is going to be that year for him to really step out of his comfort zone and say, hey, I am that guy. I love this guy. He was a 5-star recruit too. Went to Alabama, was at Alabama, and then ended up transferring over to Pittsburgh, and now he's finishing that. I think he's 2027 eligible now too, where he's also someone where I think you're just going to watch this quarterback evolve into something great and something that's just natural for him. And that's why I really love seeing him. And again, being out of Pittsburgh, you're probably not going to watch a lot of games with him. He's not going to be on these primetime type of television, but go watch the tape on him. Everything fits the model on what you need in a prototypical quarterback. I think Eli Holstein could definitely be a riser come to Devy community as well.
Yeah, he's actually 26 eligible because he redshirted his freshman year at Alabama and then played last season at Pitt. So he's going into his third season. So he is 26 eligible. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have an issue with having Holstein in your top 15. I don't, just because I've seen some holes there that I think he needs to work on. He after he came back from that, from kind of being dinged up a little bit last year, he wasn't
shoulder injury too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he wasn't nearly as good. And his team really suffered for it. I think they went on like a 5-game losing streak to end the season.
Yeah.
So he has some things he needs to clean up.
A lot of that, though, I felt they threw him in way too early. Like, it was like, let the guy recover, right, and not kind of focus that. I felt they didn't allow that. But again, now he's at the full offseason to kind of recover, get right. So now it's going to go in a fresh new season. Let's see what happens, right? So bigger us for him. Now, QB11, as I said, I have Dylan Raiola. This is where you have a guy that we've talked about. Let's talk a little bit about Drew Allar here.
Yeah, I've got Drew Allar at number 11. I think this is kind of a fair spot for him. Mainly, again, I have him lower, lower than what he has been, just because consistency. And a lot of that may just because of the type of system he plays in. They don't really like to sling the ball around the field because they got those studs at running back. But Allar, to me, he makes a lot of really poor throws. Not that he can't make all the throws. He just makes some really questionable ones. Yeah. He needs to get better at that this year. Trevor Pena has transferred into there, but now he obviously lost. He obviously lost his top tight end in Tyler Warren, who he just fed the ball last year. But Luke Reynolds is there. He's going to be their main pass catching tight end. Trevor Pena transferred in. I think he's got the weapons. I just want to see better throws from him in bigger situations. He needs to come up a little bit more clutch.
Right. Nah, shout out my guys at the Devy Dojo, Chris the Carman, putting me on Trevor Pena. Pena's gonna be a wild card for them in the sense of he could really be the X factor because they can move him all around if they play him right, and he's someone that could take it out the backfield. Granted, he doesn't need it; they have the running backs, but he's also very quick. So if Allar's able to get the ball out to him, it could be something. I just need to see that oomph from Allar. You know what I mean? Like I just need to see that extra. Like I know he's a good quarterback. But right now, with them relying so much on a run game, I haven't seen the extra. Like if I'm watching the game, I'm like they're winning because the running backs. They're not winning because of Allar. When it is on Allar's shoulders to win, it doesn't happen. And so just taking them down the field and things of that nature. So I just need to see that extra oomph, that I want it kind of mentality, and not just I'm gonna get you the NFL. I like go what I want you to be a first round pick, and I just need to see that a little bit more for him there as well. Now, number 12, I actually have Allar here, and so you have Carson Beck. Now, transfer out of Georgia, had his woes there, not Miami. Tell us a little bit about Carson Beck.
Yeah, Beck's a guy who can make all the throws. He just kind of had a little bit of knuckleheadism, over the last year, basically.
For sure.
He kind of made some questionable throws last year. Made some questionable decisions on the field. Kind of threw a lot of interceptions. Really turned the ball over a lot. He needs to clean that up. And then the off season that transfer down to Miami, just kind of really weird vibe from him. He's a guy who a lot of people had as QB1 going into last season. Really dropped a lot. But I still got him in my top 15. I believe in the talent.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be solid. Where I don't think first round, unless he throws like 5,000 yards, first round's out the books for him. Day 2, I think he's more locked in for a day 3, just based on it. I don't know. I was excited when Cam Ward went to Miami. I was like, Cam Ward's gonna change this program around and make it good again. I don't know Beck. If anything, he's just gonna make it the same. I don't think he's gonna elevate it to make it better. I don't think he's necessarily making it worse. It's just plateauing there at that point. Like I don't see enough of it to do it. To me, it's more of a testament of Georgia kind of saying, "Look, we're moving on. Even if you stay here, we're gonna trust these other guys to get us there." If that was kind of his sign to say, "Okay, well, I'm just gonna try to get out." Now, again, he got the bag too. He got some good money there, but at the same time, I don't know. I kind of feel like he should have went out, but I mean, I guess he was just not like he saw what we saw. Is like NFL's not going to value me in the sense that I wanted to.
Well, not only that, the NFL wasn't going to pay him the same. I mean, he's getting like $4 million from Miami. So
yeah, and day 3 pick, he wouldn't have got that. So yeah, 100%. Now with number 13, this is a guy where you talked about him earlier, Sam Leavitt. I have him at 13. I just again need this. I want to see it this year. I feel Scalaboo was a big reason. I don't think during the playoffs, Scalaboo wasn't the running back last year. Now this year they don't have Scalaboo, so now it's like, okay, was Sam Leavitt the reason why they were in the playoffs last year? And this is what's going to show me it too. Him and Jordan Tyson had a year to build that connection even further. Jordan Tyson, arguably wide receiver 1 of the 2026 class. This is a big year for them. Can Sam Leavitt do it? So he's someone that can definitely rise into my top 10. Right now I have him at 13. And you have actually someone that you've been higher on these past few episodes that we've done in Sawyer Robertson. Talk to us about Robertson there.
Yeah, Sawyer Robertson out of Baylor. To me, he's a fast rising quarterback. He has that prototypical size, got a big arm, plays for a decent enough team in Baylor, so he's going to be able to showcase pretty much everything. And to me, he just kind of has he has it. So he's quickly rising up my board.
Fair. I will sadly watch more tape on Sawyer Robinson to determine or see that it, because the tape I have watched hasn't excited me as much. But when saying he has it, that's something everyone has their own definition of it, right? But it's like saying he just has that baller mentality, just like I'm just to go out there and win those games and be a solid leader for my team. So I definitely need to go watch more on him. But what I've seen, it is good. Excuse me, but to have him in the top 15, that's where it's like, okay, I'm missing in my eyes. When you're saying it, I'm like, all right, I'm missing something that makes you want to go back and watch that tape. So Sawyer Robinson as your top 13 there is great. Now 14, I have Carson Beck, LaNorris Sellers. We talked about both these guys a little bit here. We won't go into much detail. Anything you want to necessarily add on them there?
Not really. I mean, we kind of talked Sellers to death a little bit.
Yeah.
And there's not really much else to say about Beck, honestly.
Right. No, I agree. And both of them, I think, can easily rise the boards for us as well if they needed to. Shout out Pete, man. Thanks for joining. We're talking about QBs. Any questions you have on Devy quarterbacks here? Now, with our next one, this is our QB 15. This is where we kind of differ as well. I have Oklahoma transfer John Mateer, and you have UCLA transfer Nico Iamaleava. Now, I know you're a big Nico guy because, if I'm not mistaken, a few years ago we were in a chat. You went to a game with Sawyer, and your words there were, "I've seen enough. Nico's QB1 of the 26 class." Right. You have it ranked as QB 15 here. You have some other 2026 quarterbacks on here. Granted, I know a lot of that could be on the transfer, but talk to us a little bit about Nico Iamaleava.
Nico's got all the tools. Big, strong arm. He's got to get more accurate. He's got to become more accurate. But he's got a big, strong arm. Really tall. He's long and whippy. Can run. To me, his problem, not him. His problem is his dad. So he kind of needs to get a little bit of control of that. His dad cost him a lot of money. Not only potentially in the NFL, but shoot, just for the season. I mean, he was making over $2 million in Knoxville. Now he's going out to LA making under $1 million.
Right.
Not only that, but now he's having to pay California state tax. He didn't have any state tax in Tennessee. So, he's got some major, I'm not going to say maturity issues, but he's got major family issues. And that is a big red flag.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you think about Shedeur, you think about the Ball family, right? It's
that's what dropped Shedeur was his kind of just not really Deion, but more like kind of just that attitude that I'm Deion's kid,
Yeah. And Nico, I feel what hurt him is there came a point in Tennessee where he's like, I'm it. You're gonna pay me, right? And they're like, all right, man, we're just gonna leave. Like it's simple as that, right? We're out of here.
From what I understand, he threatened to sit out the playoff game against Ohio State. So they paid him more money. And then, so they paid him more money, and then come the spring, he wants more.
Yeah.
So it's like, come on, dude.
Now, before I get into John Mateer, when it comes to Nico, what does he need to do this season at UCLA to put him back into a potential QB1 of the class?
He needs to put all the crap behind him and just go play ball. Okay. He's not going to be in the same type of situation he was at Tennessee. I mean, he actually had talent around him there. He doesn't have a whole lot of talent surrounding him at UCLA now. So what can he do to kind of elevate that team to where that team is now all about Nico?
Right.
Whereas at UT, it was, the defense was great. Dylan Sampson was great. He had plenty around him. So he didn't have to be the man. Now he's got to be that guy. And so can he be it?
They're not winning the Big Ten. We can agree on that.
No.
Big Ten. Are they ACC? They're Big Ten.
They're not even going to come close. They're not better than USC, and that's in their own city.
Right.
So we can list off the teams better than them in the Big Ten. In the Big Ten, Oregon, Washington, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Wisconsin, Indiana. I mean, Iowa's probably even better. So Nebraska. So
So do they need to be a top 25 team, or does he just need to? Does UCLA need to have a winning record for him to be considered, or does he just need to put up the numbers to show he can do it?
I think he needs to put up the numbers, and I think UCLA probably needs to be a bowl team.
Yeah, decent bowl team for sure. Now, on the flip side, you mentioned Washington State had a great quarterback last year in John Mateer, who transferred over to Oklahoma. A big jump coming from Washington State to an SEC team in Oklahoma. Reason why he transferred is because his offensive coordinator or head coach, Ben Arbuckle, is now the OC over there at Oklahoma. Brought him over. I said before, John Mateer is going to lead the SEC quarterbacks in rushing yards. DJ Lagway's in there. LaNorris Sellers is in there. Arch Manning's in there. Mateer has a different kind of skill set where it's like he can rely on that. Now, Oklahoma has some good running backs there too, right? Mateer is going into a system that he already knows, going with his coach. His coach said, hey, I want you as my quarterback. Come play for me in this other program, a bigger program, and let's make it happen. He's ranked as my 15 because I feel because of that transition, and it's more of a smoother transition compared to other transfers. He knows the system. It's going to be easier for him to transition over. What are your thoughts on Mateer?
I think Mateer is fine. He didn't play a whole lot of competition last year. So that's one ding against him. He's stepping up big time in competition now. Not only that, but I mean, he's not really throwing to anybody there at Oklahoma now. He's got Deion Burks, but they don't really have much else. They brought in Jaden Ott at running back. But I mean, what's he going to throw to Deion Burks 150 times?
Yeah. I mean, Ott too. I get that's a big sign. I thought Ott should have been out last year too. I mean, I know the class was deep, but like I don't at that point if he should have stayed there where he was, right? So Cal running back there. It'll be interesting to see because I feel they're definitely building something up. I think they'll rely more on Mateer's arm, but again, he has that capability of escaping the pressure and going out there and get those big plays as well. To get
and he's also kind of a smaller dude too. He's only right around that 6'1". I don't even know if he's 200 pounds.
Yeah, he's one of your smaller guys for sure, and that's where it's gonna drop him to a day 3 type of quarterback. But I think he could definitely be one of the guys we're definitely talking about in the future. Now, as you know, with every episode, we do our mock draft depending on what the episode we're talking about. And this week we're talking about quarterbacks. So yes, we're doing an all quarterback first round Devy draft, and this is really just going based on our rankings and where we're going. Without further ado, our number 1 is DJ Lagway. I mean, I think we both agree with that when we're heavy drafts, if we have the opportunity to get Lagway, granted, there's some players will take over him, but Lagway is our guy as far as what we're doing. Do you agree?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Number 2, I have here is Arch Manning. Now I know we both had someone over Arch Manning. I just think that when we're talking about Devy, Arch has the name value, so that's someone that's going to be going more likely at your QB2 than some of the other guys that we talked about that were higher than him. So I put him at 2. You agree with that?
Yeah, I mean consensus. He's probably number 1. But to us, he's below Lagway. So I don't have a problem with him being number 2.
Side note, we do look at consensus boards when we're talking about our rookies or our Devy picks, but we also do our own values because we ourselves watch the tape, right? So we're going there and valuing them how we see it as well. Understand consensus value. I say that in every draft because that's how you get the most bang for your buck, if you will. Number 3, Clay Klubnik is there, but number 4 is Garrett Nussmeier. Based on name, I think Klubnik has shown more, where Nussmeier will have to have that big season to move him up the boards. Do you agree with those two?
Yeah, my issue with Nussmeier is he's another kind of turnover prone type of guy. And playing for Brian Kelly, they've really disappointed over the last several years. I mean, they had Brian Kelly had the Heisman winner, in Jaden Daniels and went 9-4. Yeah. So, he to me they've got to have a better. They've got to have a better season. And his wide receivers kind of scare me, honestly. Nick Anderson, Nick Anderson's hurt a lot. Still not even fully healthy. And Barry Brown is kind of just a guy. He's decent. He's decent, but he drops the ball a lot. I like Aaron Anderson. I think he's really good.
Smaller wide receiver though, too.
Yeah, another small guy. He's like 5'8".
Yeah, like 170 if not smaller too.
Right. So Nussmeier's really going to have to prove a lot this year to me to be a top 5 pick.
A lot of check down Saberi and Caden Durham. And then big plays to trade as too.
Trade as green,
So we have Nussmeier, and then we go into some rushing quarterbacks at QB5. We have Bryce Underwood again. That freshman is definitely there for him, right? To just be great there. And then we have Dante Moore at QB6 going here. And then Keelan Russell, QB7. I kind of went through them all. Out of that bunch, do you agree with that, or would you change that up any more on there?
No, I think it's fair. I like all 3 of them. So I think, kind of having them kind of all in a row makes a lot of sense.
Perfect. And I think Dante Moore, man, like I said, with the way Oregon system runs, he could easily jump into a first round pick. He can easily jump into the QB1 of the class just based on what Oregon runs. Like if he takes Oregon the same trajectory what Dylan Gabriel wins, but wins the playoff, we're going to be talking about him as a potential one-on-one, I think. Now, number 8, we go with Dylan Raiola. Again, Mahomes Jr. I think that's just a fair. I absolutely do love him. Granted, I had some quarterbacks over him. Raiola was in my top 10. But I definitely think the value's there, especially the freshman and the hype there. I think you're going to be great there. Do you think he's worthy of QB8 there?
Yeah, I do. I would put him and Julian Sayin probably together, honestly.
Okay. Now this is where we go because I was speaking of Sayin. LaNorris Sellers was number 9. Julian Sayin at number 10. Athleticism, I like Sellers a lot more. IQ, I like Sayin a lot more. I see it a little bit from Sellers to really judge it. Saying I have hype in him, but I want to see more. But you would probably flip those two.
Yeah, and honestly, I'd probably have Sellers lower than the last 2 guys we got on here.
Okay, that's fair. So last 2, speaking of them, Drew Allar at number 11 and number 12, Sam Leavitt as well. You're saying you would jump Sellers out of that. Who would you put it as let's just say 12 then? If you're jumping Sellers down, putting in top 12 there for him. Because I think you go Allar.
I'd probably go Carson Beck.
Okay, fair.
Just because I like Beck's ability more than I like Sellers' ability. Right. I think Sellers is just an athlete playing quarterback.
Okay, fair. Yeah, I think so too. But I think the benefit is he's a better athlete. I think that what Richardson can be. We'll see a little bit more to it for it. But yeah, last year, they had Robbie Ashford come in a little bit. He looked pretty good in the ways he was throwing compared to Sellers in those games that he played there too. That is our mock draft for the quarterback edition, though. As we mentioned, DJ Lagway, Arch Manning, Klubnik, Garrett Nussmeier, Bryce Underwood, Dante Moore, Keelan Russell, Dylan Raiola, LaNorris Sellers, Julian Say, Drew Allar, Sam Leavitt, and the bonus pick, Carson Beck, if you're there as well. But now we're going to get into some sleepers. These are some guys that we actually think the community as a whole is sleeping on them. You need to be watching out for them and make sure you're getting the right picks in here. Go with your first one.
Yeah, my first one is a guy you had talked about earlier, John Mateer. He is a sleeper. He's a little undersized, but he has true dual threat ability. He's taken a big jump up in competition this year. So let's kind of monitor how he does it at Oklahoma in the SEC.
Fair. No, I absolutely love it because the sky could be the limit for him if he goes up there and succeed. My first guy, I've talked about him on our last show where we're not talking about enough of him, and that's Taylon Green. Again, he's not really having the weapons, but man, honestly, Taylon Green could be jumping into what LaNorris Sellers is. He is absolutely a stud on the ground. He knows how to run really well, has some speed to him. He's needs to get his passing down a little bit more. I feel he still doesn't have that touch to it. And for a quarterback like him that has great athleticism, if he can get that touchdown, he could definitely be someone that rises a stock. At Arkansas, it's going to be hard. He's in the SEC like Mateer. But if he goes out there and upsets, I don't know the schedule off the top, so I'm just going to say random teams. But if he goes out there and upsets at LSU, goes out there and upsets at Alabama, we could be seeing him rising up in the community just based on those upsets as well.
Yeah, I mean, he started the game last year where Arkansas beat Tennessee, but he didn't finish it. Their backup came in and beat Tennessee. It wasn't him. Now he started off okay. Then he got hurt, and that's kind of been a little bit his issue is injuries a little bit, and it's just hard for me to look at Taylon Green and think, man, this is the guy that got benched at Boise State.
Yeah.
So he's playing at a lower tier SEC school in Arkansas. Doesn't really have a whole lot of weapons. I do like Omega Blake.
Shout out Omega.
Yeah. But to me, he doesn't have a whole lot around him. Luke Haas transferred out to Ole Miss. So, I mean, I think he's a lot like Anthony Richardson. Really talented athlete, has a lot of skills. But it's just not a winner and doesn't put it all together.
It's fair. I hope we see a lot more from Courtney Crutchfield, who transferred out from Missouri over there to Arkansas because I really loved his tape. They get a lot of shot at Missouri, so now he's over there at Arkansas there. Who is your number 2 sleeper quarterback?
My number 2 sleeper quarterback is Austin Simmons for Ole Miss. Lefty quarterback. He's got plenty of zip on the ball. He was a pitcher for the baseball team last year.
Nice.
Lane Kiffin pumps out quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So Simmons is the next guy in that Lane Kiffin lineage. So if you liked Jackson Dart, which I did, I like Jackson Dart.
Yeah, I absolutely love Dart.
I think Austin Simmons has a ton of talent, and he's only 19 years old as a junior. He came to school as a 16-year-old. He reclassified and started his freshman year a year early. So he's a 19-year-old junior.
Nice.
And so, I mean, you may have some ups and downs with him, but this guy can play.
I will say, just because I know some of my league mates watch this, I love Jackson Dart does not mean I'm trading for him for the people that are watching that. It's like, don't go and trade for me. I loved him in college. I'll say that. I loved him as a college football player. I'm not necessarily 100% sold on him in the NFL. So I just want to throw that out there before people start flooding my inbox with Dart offers there. I know a couple people that would do that. Austin Simmons, I agree. Sometimes you gotta watch what the head coaching style is. That's where I was high on Dante Moore because it seems like Lanning and Will Stott are pumping out those quarterbacks. Lane Kiffin's another one of those guys that he knows how to pump those quarterbacks and produce. Simmons, he's probably going to play 2 years right there, Ole Miss. So we're going to see something for him and help him grow. So hopefully that's someone to watch this year. Maybe you get a head start on drafting him before your league mates do later. Now, my number 2 guy, this is for your deep leagues. I was to throw him in there. It's going to be Oregon's backup quarterback or presumed backup quarterback in Austin Novosad. He's just been so a man that I follow the Oregon Ducks a lot. The team absolutely loves this kid, has everything he can. And if something were to happen to Dante Moore, or even if Novosad could beat him in camp and say, hey, I'm the guy, Novosad's going to go out there. And he actually looks really good. I went to the spring game and saw him. He is poised in the pocket. He throws delivery balls. He makes proper deliveries to his wide receivers, and that's just saying on what he's doing in the spring game. Now in the game season, stuff like that, all that's going to change and everything, but he is a quarterback that really he understands the game. I feel he's already slowed it down enough where he could be the next guy up. And again, in the Will Stein offense, if he takes the head start over Dante Moore, guess what? I'm out on Dante Moore, but I'm 100% in on Austin Novosad because I think he can definitely elevate. He has good mechanics on the ground to be able to escape the pressure too and make those plays. He's not a dual threat, but he is someone where I want to see a little bit more down the field throws from him because I think his short and intermediate's on the money. Down the field, I think you could get away from him, but he's so I think in your deeper leagues, if you need that, I'd watch out for him too.
Yeah, Novosad may be a guy that you may be a year early on. He may be a guy I'm looking at next year if Dante Moore leaves early. Mm-hmm. Just because I do think Novosad has talent. He just got to get on the field.
Yeah. Well, next year I'll start talking about Kelly Smith Jr., but that'll be a different discussion for us.
Right.
Who's your number 3 guy?
My number 3 guy is at FAU. He just transferred from Western Kentucky. Caden Veltkamp, really big quarterback, man. You're talking about a guy who you said somebody reminded you of Ben Roethlisberger earlier. Mm-hmm. Caden Veltkamp reminds me of Ben Roethlisberger. Dude is big, 6'5", 6'6", 235 pounds, big time arm. He can move around a little bit too, kind of like Big Ben did.
Right.
So I mean, watch out for him. He could be a kind of a sleeper quarterback moving into the NFL draft season next year.
Okay. Veltkamp, I like it. I could go watch more. Again, you saying Ben Roethlisberger, I'm like, okay, I'm intrigued now too. But no, Veltkamp, as you mentioned, is a bigger quarterback, has a nice arm too, especially going to FAU. I mean, that's a school that's pretty good, right? That knows what they got to do. And they're under the radar all the time, but they actually do pretty well during season 2. So definitely watch a little bit more on him. My next guy, we talked about some undersized guys, but if there's anyone that's undersized that I'm probably taking a shot on, it's A&M's quarterback, Marcel Reed. He's super undersized. I think he's like 5'10", like 185. So not your ideal quarterback and what you want, but he does have the speed. He does have that dual threat ability. Also, they have a nice system over there going with A&M, at least what they're building now. I feel like after once they benched was it Whiteman? Once they benched Whiteman and put in Marcel Reed, you kind of saw it kind of transition over and said, okay, this is a whole new era, if you will, in the A&M and the Aggie offense because of what Reed brought to the table as far as being able to extend those plays, something Wyman wasn't really doing. And he does have a good system around him, as I mentioned. Now you have Kevin Consumpcion. You also have Jerome Miles as top freshman. You also have Le'Veon Moss still coming back. You have some big people coming back that Marcel Reed could really take that jump. Again, really undersized, but yet if he goes out there and produces, he could be a quarterback that ends up getting some value down the line as well.
Yeah. Marcel Reed to me is kind of another athlete playing quarterback. Really good athlete. He needs to take another step forward in being able to pass the ball.
Yeah. 100%. And hopefully this season he can, and sometimes the athleticism helps bolster your stock up, and hopefully you just build on that, because really it comes down to all you got to do is just get to NFL, and once you get drafted or undrafted, whatever it is, to get to a team, prove it. And so that's so that possibly do it there as well. But
that was kind of the stigma for Kyler Murray when he was at A&M also. Right. He was just an athlete out there. Then he transfers to Oklahoma and blows up. So
yeah. He was a little bit slightly bigger too, Kyler Murray, as far as size there. So
a little bit thicker, yeah.
Yeah. But now when it comes to our sleepers, those were our three. My three were Taylor Green out of Arkansas, Austin Novosad out of Oregon, and Marcel Reed out of A&M. Tommy's, yours were John Matier out of Oklahoma, then Austin Simmons out of Ole Miss, and then Caden Velkamp out of FAU. Caden Velkamp, you've said that name a couple of times. That's a wink for our viewers. Make sure you watch Caden Velkamp there. Yeah. Now, as we're talking about sleepers, you also should know about the guys that you used to probably get out on, right? Like the hype so high, it's like this is good time to sell these guys. Tommy, who's your first guy that you want to cash out on now before it's too late?
First guy I want to cash out on, I probably should have cashed out on him last year, was Drew Allar. He's getting a little bit more buzz now. I mean, he's probably looking at being a first round quarterback. So with that type of draft capital, I'd probably look at moving on from him.
Yeah, because like, what if Allar goes to a system like, let's just say Cleveland? Cleveland.
We've never seen Allar have to take the reins and be that big time quarterback. Yeah. I don't know if he can.
Yeah, that's fair, and especially like that one becomes a hard one for me because you said he has the first round capital. If he gets first round, his value goes up further. But at the same time, I feel when we're talking about first round quarterbacks, Nussmeier potentially, Klubnik potentially, those are guys where I feel they're more locked in, where Allar can easily drop out of being a day two pick at that.
Yeah.
So I absolutely love that. I think that's great. If anything, I would go say, hey, go trade Drew Allar for Nick Singleton plus. Go get his running back plus something and a quarterback, So absolutely love that. Mine is actually a guy that I was higher on than you, but Julian said out of Ohio State. Reason why I say that is because, again, we haven't seen 100% from him. Xavier St. Clair is a really good quarterback sitting right behind him. At least that's what we think right now. Sayin has that hype right now. I admit if he's there, but at the same time, if I have him and I could get good value out of him, I'm going to go ahead and do it because why not try to get someone? I'd go get Eli Holstein plus for Sayin if possible, because you can get that value and add some to it. Now, we're not saying do a one-for-one trade, but with these quarterbacks that have high value, go trade for someone that it's still one of our top 15 plus something as well.
Yeah, he's also a little bit of an unknown. So you don't really know what you're going to get out of him. So you could get a big time player out of him, or you could just get a bust. So take a decent offer.
Right. And then again, if it becomes a big time player, at least you still got that backup, right? You still got some good value out of it.
Yeah.
Now your number two, who's your number two guy sell now?
My number two guy is LaNorris Sellers. Like I said earlier, he's getting like top 10 buzz. Mm-hmm. I don't see it. I don't want to wait until he busts in the NFL. So if I've got him, I'm getting rid of him.
Fair. Yeah, I got some Richardson shares, and I'll tell you what, it's not pretty. So if that's possible, I would too. And I don't know if Sellers is gonna run a 4-4 whatever Richardson ran. So that's gonna be something too where I could agree with that. But again, the value, like I feel a lot of these trades. Some people may say I don't want to because what if? If you're playing the game of what if, you're not playing it right. Like don't go ahead and do all that, because if the what if happens, you're gonna be sitting back and not having anything. I will just quote this real quick here because I have it. 1 second. There's a quote I like. It says, "Stop being afraid of what could go wrong and start being excited about what could go right." So don't, if it goes wrong in your trade, don't be upset. It happens, right? You could do that, but at the same time, that's why you gotta get the value where you can. If there is high value on it, go capitalize on that, because guess what? Sometimes you hold them too long and you lose them. So my next guy here is a guy that, again, getting that buzz is Sam Leavitt out of Arizona State. I think right now is the hype that's all around him. Granted, he can be a first round as well, but if the running game really was impactful as it was last year, losing Scalaboo is going to hurt that overall, and that's going to hurt what Sam Leavitt can do. Right now, if you could get that first round capital for him as far as trading out and getting some other picks or players, I would go ahead and do it there as well for him. Similar to how you have LaNorris Sellers, that's what I see with Leavitt too.
For him. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, I've got Leavitt, I think, at number 9 in my rankings, right at Julian Sayin and Dylan Raiola. I think Leavitt has a pretty bright future in the NFL. But if you can get an NFL player for him now, I'd do it.
I mean, in your case, I think you could probably trade Sam Leavitt for Sawyer Robertson plus.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that would be something very, very positive there as well. I mean, but, the crazy thing is, people may be asking, well, how can I get these values to understand what I'm getting at and everything, Where can they go to actually plug in some trades and figure it out to find out what they're doing there?
Yeah, go to Dynasty Trade Calculator. We've put in Devy values there, so you can compare Devy values with NFL values, and you can kind of see what kind of equals what, just kind of as a reference point for doing your trades.
Right, so you can find out like where Dante Moore is valued. You can find out what you're going to get for an Eli Holstein or Sam Leavitt or LaNorris Sellers. And not only on the Devy side, we're talking about draft picks as well. We're talking about players in the NFL as well. So if you're looking to compete and you're in your Devy leagues, then you want to say, hey, I want to win my pro league right now. Go ahead and get these guys out for some value and get some picks out on the NFL side or some players on the NFL side, right? So if you're looking at, hey, I need to build out for my future, go look at what NFL players you can cash out on to go ahead and get some future picks for your Devy side as well. That's all we have for y'all today. As you mentioned, we're going by position now. So next week, we're going to talk about our running backs and where we have them valued, our top 15, our sleepers, and ones you need to cash out on now. For every DJ out there, Devy, Dynasty, redraft Degens as well. I am SC. That is my co-host, Tommy. We are the Devy Degens. Until next week, peace.